Hi, my name is James Newman. Today I'm going to walk you through some of the selection components that you can use inside of Celonis. These can be really helpful for keying in on a particular date, period, or a particular attribute selection, things like that you want to give users the ability to interact with on screen. So if you're building a dashboard, one of the things we'll kind of do is maybe have a sideboard with a couple different filters, something like that. And it's just a good way to organize the dashboards, make sure everything is consistent, make sure that it's visible. So you want to find the right balance between nested menus and things like that. And what can you bring out to be right in front of the user to improve their experience and save them time. So we're going to walk through a couple of them, kind of show you how we set it up, something like that. So I'm in the claims data set in our app development Celonis environment here. So I'm going to move this to the side. One of the little tricks we like to use to create a sideboard is to use a text component and then give it a background and some opacity. So show background in the side thing here, opacity, and then we'll make it maybe like a nice little blue color. And that gives us just a spot to put filters. Separates it from the rest, gives the user some kind of idea of grouping. These things go together, they're filters, everything else is data. So then we're going to add in the selection components. You click new component, scroll down a little bit. There's 4 options. You get a drop down, date picker, a cropping selection, and then a search function. Typically we use the drop down and the date pickers the most. Rarely will we use cropping, sometimes search is handy, but when you're getting to that level, it's often just easier to have the user go up here and do the crop selection item in the selection views. So we'll usually drive them that way. Won't typically take up the screen space for the cropping option. But the drop down is something that we do quite a bit. So we'll create it here, it gives you a little drop down. Typically put it on the side there like that. And then, so in the options, it gives you the placeholder text. So you can say investigator. And then it gives you a formula spot where you can put in a query. So click that, and then you specify the field. And now it's going to pull up all the possible options and give the user the ability to select from them. You can do multi-select. Typically, we do multi-select for the sidebars. But if you're doing something where you want them to be able to pick a particular just one investigator, maybe filter on a side, like do a compare, like a benchmarking, one side of the screen is filtered, one side is not, then you might want to just do a single select. And we'll do just a default layout options there. So now what we can do is, instead of having an OLAP table taking up the screen space here and having Alan Bates click in like that, you have now this drop down where they can select and search and do everything, invert it, so we can just click on Alan Bates, click done there, and now it's going to filter everything as we would expect. So that's really handy. We'll get up to like maybe 4 or 5 of the most important dimensions on the sidebar. If it gets any more than that, we typically try to curate them down to a more manageable portion. And then what we often will do is then have the date picker kind of right above it. Right? So then you get the ability to also check the date. And so it'll default to a particular timestamp. I think it's just the event time for the activity. But that's important to note, right? If you're using Oracle order to cache or something like that, and you want to use the header create time instead of the line create time. I think the case is the default for the out of the box. So it would fill this in with the lines creation date. And so you have to go in, switch that over to the header creation date, just so that it doesn't cause any disparities when you're trying to filter down to a particular set of data. Vertical is typically handier than horizontal, unless you're really low on space. Just give them a little bit more view. And then component is not filtered selections. This is actually pretty good to have here, because if you want to do a distinct date, time from like maybe April 1st to April 30th, you want to be able to filter that to that, even if it's outside the bounds of what you're filtered to already. So if we were filtered down to Alan Bates again, click green, and then maybe like he didn't work one of these days, it would be grayed out, right? So right, he didn't work the 27th to 28th. So those are grayed out. And we would want those really to be grayed in and be able to select from. So that is why it's handy not filtered from selections. So that's two of them. The next one is the cropping. It's a little bigger. It's pretty much the same functionality as the selections view. So if you saw our video about me walking through that, you'll kind of understand where we're going here. Just gives you a little bit ability to set a border, kind of do some visual changes to it. The core functionality remains the same. You set the process start, and you set the last occurrence, and then you can apply it, and it applies a filter to everything down here. Similar to the crop selection that you would see here. And then the last option is a search. So this can get, based on the fuzzy search, if you have maybe an open text field that you want to search for, that can be handy. So we'll just have the formula here, and we'll do investigator again. So now you want so you want to be able to search. Okay, give me all the type Bates, right? And now it's like Bates, so now it's only going to find Alan Bates. But maybe if there's a situation where you wanted to find all the Alfreds, right, you could just search Alfred, and then it would give you Alfred Hitchcock and Alfred Kinsey. So it gives you the ability to do a little quick search and finding things like that. Over this, we'll typically go for just an OLAP table because it gives you the ability to show more information. We'll typically already show an OLAP table already, and then each OLAP table has the ability to search within them. But if you're looking for something to maybe have on the sidebar, something like that, it could be handy just to do a quick search function like that. So this is what our sheets will typically end up look like, with multiple filters on the side, ability to switch them and change them. And then what we will do is have this kind of sidebar on all of the sheets. And it's a nice way to use the search components, make it a little more visible so that fewer clicks for the user. Hope this was useful. Check out our other videos on the selection views, and hope you have a great day.